And welcome to Hannity. Welcome to Georgia. We start tonight with a Fox News alert. The very first 2024 presidential debate is officially now in the books. We are live from a very, very busy spin room right here in my former city, my former home, Atlanta, Georgia. Now, in a moment, we're going to be joined by Senator J.D. Vance, Senator Marco Rubio, RNC Chair Laura Trump, and many, many more people that you're going to want to hear from tonight. But first, this was historic. This was a night to remember. First word out of my mouth, wow. And by the way, one that Joe Biden will want to forget and probably already has. Biden's performance was the single biggest disaster I have ever seen in a presidential debate in the history of this country, televised debates. A complete, total train wreck. From his opening words, he sounded awful. He looked even worse. He was over-rehearsed. He continually lost his train of thought, mumbling, bumbling, stumbling, fumbling, dazed and confused. And this all after one full week of prep, at times totally incoherent. And to make matters worse, Joe had the strangest, weirdest stare, like an empty vessel. I actually was feeling so bad for him. I was hoping maybe at some point, maybe a family member might come in and throw out in the towel. He simply is not strong enough physically. He is not strong enough, doesn't have the stamina. He's not strong enough cognitively. He doesn't have the mental acuity to be the president of the United States. That's what the country saw tonight. You decide.
Make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
All right. Can you decipher what he was trying to say there? Does Joe even know what he was trying to say? President Trump pointed that out at one point. It is scary, and it was not, by the way, the only unusual moment from Joe Biden tonight. Here he is trying to talk about kitchen tables and rising prices. Pay close attention to how he says it.
No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Meanwhile, on the topic of abortion, Joe Biden very weirdly focused on people getting raped by their siblings and their brothers and sisters. Take a look.
Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped.
We're going to interrupt this tape for just a second. Joe Biden is speaking live. Let's go to Joe Biden. I guess he's talking to the press somewhere.
He's a liar. Look, folks, what's going to happen over the next couple of days is they're going to be out there fact-checking all the things he said. I can't think of one thing he said that was true. I'm not being facetious. But look, we're going to beat this guy. We need to beat this guy. And I need you in order to beat him. You're the people I'm running for.
Come back to me. All right, that's Joe Biden at a debate watch party. Can't really make out exactly what he's saying. Let's go back to the debate itself. Here's Joe trying to talk about veterans and D-Day. Take a listen.
I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his four-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines.
Let's stop here about Joe Biden for a second. You cannot diminish the unbelievable debate performance tonight that we saw from Donald Trump. Donald Trump was focused. Donald Trump didn't take the bait. Donald Trump did not in any way react. He was lucid. He was on his A game. He did not get upset at anything Biden tried to throw at him. And in fairness to fake news CNN, fake Jake and fake Dana, they put aside their prejudice, their hatred towards Donald Trump for the night, and they actually asked questions and waited for answers, and I thought they managed the debate fairly well, something I didn't expect considering we've been playing all of the tape of them trashing Donald Trump for many, many years. So I guess credit for one night. Biden didn't just get confused and fumble over his words. He also lied. He lied about suckers and losers and that hoax. He lied about the economy. He lied about taxes. He lied about violent crime. He lied about the border in particular. Biden even lied when he said he got an endorsement from the Border Patrol Union. Well, moments ago, the Border Patrol Union tweeted this statement, "To be very clear, we never have and never will endorse Joe Biden." But despite all of this, his most egregious lie was about the brave men and women of our military. Take a look.
And the military, you know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have any, this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
Really, Joe? No troops dying? I know you were looking at your watch during the dignified transfer, but did you really forget about the 13 Americans who were killed in Afghanistan or the thousands that you abandoned and left behind because of that disastrous withdrawal? This debate made one thing very clear. Joe Biden is not fit to be president. Donald Trump clearly is. The Drudge Report sounding the alarm on what they're calling Operation Replace Biden. Dems scramble with 130 days to go. Debate catastrophe. Or as Politico put it, Biden is toast. Calling it now. Biden stumbles, rambles in opening of debate. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.